I basically just want to share today what a few tips or a few things that I think my mother trained me and my brother on to survive as an orphan. And because when you become an orphan, those with whom you stay after of course their demise, your parents' demise, is relatives, and also some well-wishers who may not who are not relatives. Yes, thank you so much for having me here, Charles, on CHATBOX. I can say I am happy to always, be on your show. And my name is Dickens Ngicho. I am a journalist, a multimedia journalist who reports on humanitarian issues, social affairs, and also, anything that comes as an assignment from my editors. So what I'm here to share with you today is it's nothing really new, because there's a great population of kids who've also grown up who were also in that situation where I just want to share. So I grew up with loving parents, Paul Ngicho and Pamela Olela Ngicho. I was born in Majengo, an estate in Nairobi's Eastlands. If you are vast or know where Gikomba, Isili, Pumwani areas are, so that's basically where Majengo is also located, or where Majengo is. I though wasn't lucky to have them or to live with them up to even to date. So I lost them while my dad first while I was in class 2, and then my mother when I was in class 6. So when I remember losing my dad, and my mom told me that because my dad was basically the person providing everything, my mom always told me and my younger brother Kevin that we are basically orphans. So she prepared us to know how to start facing life, because the person who was the sole or breadwinner had passed on. That was my dad, and so it had to take a lot of perseverance, endurance, and challenges that would come along with being orphans. So I basically just want to share today what a few tips or a few things that I think my mother trained me and my brother on to survive as an orphan. And because when you become an orphan, those with whom you stay after of course their demise, your parents' demise, is relatives, and also some well-wishers who may not who are not relatives. So I attended about 9 primary schools, and this was because I had a lot of relatives who were supportive, but these relatives were not, most of them were not better off. So it would also be, a strain. I would also, bring a constraint to the few or little resources they had, and they were having their kids, basically. That's what I mean. And so what I could find myself doing is, while I was in class 1, from class 6, that's now after my mom had passed on, I'd live with a relative during my first term in class 6, and then the second term you'd be tossed to another, a different relative. And it's because my relatives, or most of our relatives, would try to share that burden of bringing us up. And I'm so grateful, because I'm so grateful for every short time I had with all my relatives, because they made me the person I am today, took me through school. So today, the intention of this interview is just to share or give tips on how to survive as an orphan. And these are things I learned from my mother, and I thank her for preparing me as an orphan, and because it really helped me a great deal while I was growing up. So when you become an orphan, I think it's important for you to acknowledge and recognize that you're one. I know it really takes a lot for orphans or people who lose loved ones to accept that. But the faster you accept it, it doesn't have to be faster. If you're lucky to accept it as fast as possible, then you're lucky. So what that means is, if you recognize that you're an orphan and that you don't have those people who loved you more than any other person or more than anybody else in the world, if you just know they are no longer there, and then the people with whom you are going to live are if you're lucky to have those who also love you, it's okay for you. But you should know that you are not supposed to expect a lot. So as an orphan, acknowledge that you are not going to have those who love you more than any other person as you grow up. So that will prepare you for challenges. You know, when you don't have somebody who loves you more than any other person in the world, what you know or what you prepare for is the knowledge that I'm not going to have everything my friend Jen, Dan, or William has. And because with kids, they expect a lot from their parents and those who love them. So if you know that mom with dad are not around, so that prepares you to be able to not to stop expecting a lot from those who are there to support you. That will help you stop. You'll not be disappointed a lot. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. You'll not be disappointed when you don't get everything that you used to get, or everything that you see your friend gets. If you have a pair of shoes or two, it's important that you be content. An orphan is supposed to be content with whatever they have, whatever somebody gives you. This helps you to deal with expectation, just like I said a few minutes ago. So another thing as an orphan that you need to know is when a relative takes you to start living with them. When a relative takes you to start living with them, and this relative of yours has kids, your age mates, your kids about your age or young or just a little older, this is what you're supposed to do. Make sure that even as you stay with them, you will have to do a lot more work in that house to start earning some love from everybody in that particular house. And I'm not saying that you have to, because there are people with whom you live and they'll not want you to do more than their kids do. But before you are told not to do a lot, please do a lot. It will help you start earning some love, some compassion in that particular house. The reason why I'm saying this is because if I live with a particular aunt or uncle and she or he has her kids or their kids, there is nothing really, tangible that is going to make these parents of those kids disown their kid or their kids because they made a mistake or just did something that is not right. But anything slight, anything just small that you do will make you start getting hatred or not being loved as you probably was being loved before, you are being loved before. Then another thing I would also want to add on that particular point is that don't measure yourself, or don't try to do what the kids in that house are doing, as long as they are not right things. If they are not right things, please don't do them. Let the kids do those wrong things. Don't do wrong things in the house because you see the kids are doing those wrong things. If a kid is doing a wrong thing in the house, their mother will just call or reprimand them lightly, like, hey, stop doing it. But if you do that particular wrong thing, it will take a lot of harsh words to correct you. So I think one thing I'd love to say, it's important that you do not do any wrong thing, that you don't basically copy the kids in the house in the wrong way. Just try to do the right things in that particular house. The third thing I'd want to say about surviving as an orphan is, when you live with your uncles and then the kids who are your age, with whom you are age mates, if there is a place or things that are being bought for guys, I don't think it's important for you to also say this is the thing I want and this is the thing I don't want. Just receive with both hands what you are given. I think it's really important. It's don't start to be putting a lot of demands or to having a lot, or just having a lot of options, because you are also a kid just like those other kids. You are not a kid just like those other kids. You're an orphan, they are not. Then the fourth thing I would love to add is that living as an orphan, when there are activities that are being done at that particular place, say cleaning or cooking or ironing or whatever that is being done at home, what I'd love you to do is that do more of that activity than those kids are doing. If it's washing clothes, wash more than those kids. If it's cooking, do a lot more cookings than those kids. If it's cleaning, whatever that is being done, please try to do more than those kids. It will make those people want to stay with you, because you'll be trying to bring value. Your stay at that particular place will try to at least bring some value. They're staying with you, they're supporting you, so they are incurring cost for feeding you, for paying the bills, because when you're there, bills are paid more than before you came there. So bring value to the expenditure and the time and the resources they're putting together to have you also brought up. I think that's very important. Then if you're an orphan, another thing I'd love to tell you, if you happen to be getting some money, don't wait to be told to do some shopping. I think it's very important. Make sure that the little money you get, you may not necessarily have to buy everything in the house, because you may not have the ability to do that, because if you had that ability, you'd be staying alone. So as somebody, maybe you're probably starting to work, make sure that the little money that you're getting, try to bring a kg of sugar, a packet of salt, milk, or just something. Yes, they'll see that you are seeing, you are acknowledging and recognizing that these people are committed to helping me, and then it's also just right for me to support them in their effort to bring me up. So I want to talk about going to school or pursuing education as an orphan. I think I touched a bit of that, but more importantly, there are things I have not talked about. So if you are an orphan and you live with people supporting you, your relatives or non-relatives, and you are going through education, you're basically a school-going kid, it will be easier for them to help you go through education if you are trying to perform just a little better than most of your peers or friends in that particular place. It will make them see the value of helping you, just like trying to help them also bring you up. So I think when you're going through education, and for me, I'm not tooting my own horn or blowing my own trumpet, but I am saying that when I was going through primary school, I lived with an uncle of mine, a nice Uncle Tom, who used to tell us that if you become position 1, 2, 3, or you bring good marks home, it buy you something nice. So as an orphan who is going through school, if you're lucky to be performing well, I think it will be a plus for you, because those that are supporting you will see the value of the money that they're putting as your school fees. You know, not every student who is performing well, or an student is going to have a promising life or future, but at least it shows that you're serious with your life, and you are working towards becoming a better person and having a bright future. So when you're going through school, just try to perform well, because it's difficult to support somebody who's not performing well. Paying school fees for somebody who's performing poorly, I think it will be a great deal of a disadvantage on your side as an orphan. There's a virtue, the most important virtue that an orphan should have is perseverance. You are supposed, you'll be at a vantage point or level if you are going to be able to persevere everything and every challenge that is going to come with your situation or your state of affairs or for being an orphan. So persevering means this: you may be living with a relative who has it all or who doesn't. So take the case of somebody who is living with relatives who are not really having enough to support themselves or that particular family. I think it's important to know that if you lack today, you are not basically going to lack forever. And being content is a virtue my mom also taught me, and I always blend them together with perseverance. So whatever you're lacking, persevere, but work towards having it sometime later in your life. And be content, be happy that I don't have it, but it's not really a big deal that I'm lacking now. You're just lacking because you're still a kid, and you still don't have the ability to explore all your abilities and your prowess in whatever you are good at, and just say your capability to do anything that will help you. But perseverance is a very key virtue that all orphans should have. And just like I said while I was beginning, almost all my relatives were great people. It's just that they didn't have enough. Most of them didn't have enough to support their kids and to support us. But for the short time that I was living with each and every one of them, almost all of them were able to do their best to make sure that we go through school, have clothes on, have food on the table, and I'm so grateful to them. And then there are non-relatives that are going to come, and they are going to also help you along the way. They don't necessarily have to be your blood related, your blood relatives. So basically your relatives. So as an orphan, stay positive. There are things I share with my close friends about how life was while I was living with some relatives, and also as a kid I used to think there were things that were being done to me and with bad intention, but no, I was wrong. And most of my friends with whom I share this and they give me feedback, they are always wrong. Most of them are wrong. When you are an orphan and you are in the midst of challenges, the best thing you can do to yourself is be positive. Have an open mind that this is not going to last forever. I had an Uncle Ngege, who used to see how hard I was working, and he used to tell me, this is not going to be like this forever. So Uncle Ngege used to tell me, there's a future that is coming that is very bright because I'm seeing how hard you're working. So as I finish, I want to thank all my relatives and those who are not my relatives, from Uncle Eric and my Aunt Betty and my Uncle Tom, Aunt Rosemary, and John. Man, there's so many people, and my mom, my Pamela, who also raised me in my later teenage life. So thank you so much. It's been great sharing with you tips on survival as an orphan, and I am so glad that Charles had me on this show. But make sure you subscribe to CHATBOX to have more of such particular stories. Thank you so much.